Hey guys, welcome to Convocourses. This is a podcast I do every week, every Saturday about this time. And what we've been doing lately is covering different topics people send to me. Now, a lot of people ask me questions. So if I have not gotten to your question, just keep in mind I get a lot of messages. So you can just message me another time. Or if you catch me on these lives, you can ask me right here and I'll do my best to answer the question. What I talk about on this channel, on this podcast, on YouTube, on my website, is all about security compliance. That's what I know the most, so that's what I talk about. And I've got many years of experience in this particular category of cybersecurity, so I can talk to you about risk management framework and all kinds of other different frameworks. I can also talk to you about cybersecurity analysis and some other things such as assessments, cybersecurity assessments, and then that kind of stuff is what I talk about. Cybersecurity is something I've been doing for a long time and many different aspects of it, but my focus is really on risk management framework. But we can always talk about other things. Okay, let's get into this. My first question I wanted to address is somebody asked me about jobs in Mexico. From Charles, he says, "Hello, I really enjoy your videos." Thanks a lot, Charles. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Says, "I wanted to know if there are any cybersecurity jobs in Mexico, or if you can work remotely while in Mexico." And I would say yes for both of those. Of course, there's cybersecurity jobs in Mexico. And can you get remote jobs in Mexico? I'm sure there's remote jobs in Mexico. Now, I personally know someone who was remotely working in Mexico for a major company. So, and that's not to say that's the standard or anything like that. He's a specialized dude who's exceptionally badass in cybersecurity. So I imagine that's why his company allowed him to work from Mexico, being an American and everything. But what I want to do is I want to show you some tricks that I would use if I wanted to work in Mexico in particular, remotely or otherwise. Here's what I would do. First off, you're going to have experience, and you're going to have a really solid resume that markets yourself and all of your skills, right? That said, let's say you have those skills, and Charles, you didn't express to me like what branch of cybersecurity you want to go into, anything like that. So in very general terms, what I'll do is explain to you what I would do in your situation. I am right now on Indeed.com. This is my tool of choice when it comes to slicing and dicing different opportunities for cybersecurity and other IT stuff. It's just very easy, it's straight to the point, and it gives you a very general idea of jobs, mostly in America. So let me see if there's any in Mexico though. Okay, Mexico. No. So one of the bad things about the negative things about Indeed is that actually Indeed does have other countries, but it's on another website. It's on another website. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. If we type in Indeed.com, Mexico. What they've done is they kind of put it in different. There we go. Jobs in Mexico is. See, they have one for India, one for different countries. I'm looking for that. This might be it right here. I'm not sure. I'm not going to click on that. But here's Jobs Mexico. Here we go. I hope this is it. Let's just type in cyber security. If this doesn't work, I know a better site that's better for overseas jobs. Yeah, see, this is ME, and it goes straight to remote jobs. There's couple remote jobs that went straight to the top here. There's one for Kuwait. No, this is okay. This is not good. And I don't know the site. Hold up. Let's not give up just yet. There's a site that's specifically for different countries with Indeed. And that's what we're going to look for. Indeed worldwide. Where is that site? This might be. Here it is. Okay, here we go. See how it has all these flags? different places you can go here. All right, so Argentina, Mexico, there it is right there. Beautiful, beautiful Mexico. ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? Those are the only two Spanish words I know, by the way. Okay, so here we go. What do we want? We want cybersecurity. See how the keywords are in Spanish? That's pretty cool. I like that. City. Let's just search for anything in Mexico. So since I'm speaking and I'm typing in English, I don't know, cybersecurity remediation manager. Yeah, look at this. It's finding cybersecurity jobs in Mexico. So what I did was this is, by the way, indeed.com.mx. So if you're actually interested in this particular thing, and how I found this, I went to Google, typed in Indeed space worldwide, and then that brings you to that site with all the flags, and then choose the flag you want. Then just search for the job you want. That's all I'm doing, and that's it. This is one of the tools you can use. Now let me show you another tool, careerjet.com. This one, in the past, maybe I haven't used this in a bit. So in the past, though, I would use this one for job overseas work, and this one seems to be way better, or at the time that I used it before. But let's go ahead and test it out. I'm going to type in cyber security. Now, one thing to note here, real cool tip, is that whenever you start typing, you got the keywords. What this is showing you, why this is important, why this is cool, is that this is showing you some of the content that they actually have listings for. And I believe it's showing some of the things people type in. Either way, it's giving you a path that you can use to refine your search. So these are things you want to keep in mind. Okay, cybersecurity. Now let's type in Mexico. Now I don't know if this is going to work. I haven't done this in a while, and it's looking for all kinds of other places, and I'm not seeing Mexico. Let me see India. This used to be the best site for international jobs. They must have changed it. Wow. Jobs by location. Let's do something else. Let's see if we can find. Okay, here we go. By state, by city. Man, what happened to the world stuff here? They might have broken this out just like they did Indeed.com, because these guys. Oh, here we go. Look at this. At the bottom, let me move my face here so you can see this. What I've done here is, why is my face not moving? Because of that. Okay, never mind. Hold on a second. There we go. So if you look at the bottom here, and let me adjust this screen for you so you guys can see this. There's like a little corner on the bottom left-hand corner. I'm trying to adjust this screen so everybody can see it. If you happen to be using these tools, these tools are extremely useful. Highly encourage everybody to check them out, especially if you happen to be in the job market in IT. But this works for anything. If you're a nurse, if you happen to be in physical security, police officer, law enforcement, all of that should work with what I'm doing here. You just got to use the proper keywords. Okay, here we go. So this right here is where you change the country, I believe. Yep, there it is right there. They just changed up the format. I just haven't been here in a while. Okay, so it used to be one giant search, and you would search anything, and it would have every single job. But that's cool. All right, so let's look for Mexico then. There we go. Alphabetic. And we're going to go ahead and type in what we want, what we're looking for. And once again, look at that. See that right there? It's giving us keywords in Spanish and in English. These are the jobs that you'll see that are available. And notice how they break up the cybersecurity. So in some search engines, you'll have both cyberspace security, and in some it's just cybersecurity, all one word. Now I'm going to type that. I'm going to click that one right there, and I'm going to go ahead and search. And there we go. There's some jobs right there. You got pen tester jobs, cybersecurity consultant, cybersecurity specialist, CMD. So to answer your question, Charles, are there jobs in Mexico? Absolutely. Now, if you wanted to look for a remote job, I believe you asked about that. I believe you could search somehow. It was kind of, let me see if you can. Sometimes I'll have like a little drop down where you could just look for. But here's what we'll do. Let's just keep this easy. There we go. I just typed in remote right there. Right now, remote jobs are pretty hot because most companies, many companies right now are doing remote work for obvious reasons. But there you go. I just typed in remote, and so some of these searches should find remote positions here. I don't know if this is a remote position. Might have just been flagged on like remote supervision, self-driven remote supervision. Okay, I don't know if that means that this is a remote position. So you'd have to look through these to see which ones are remote. Now, if you wanted more information on how to find remote positions, I would highly encourage you to check out my course where I talk about how I've been able to do this for many years doing remote work. Here's the course right here. If you need a discount to get into this, I understand completely. Just ask and I can help you out. There it is right there. And by the way, I've added recently to my risk management framework course. This is continuously being added to, so stay tuned for more information on that. I've got a CAP course coming, but that one is very robust, so it's going to take a while. I've been talking about it for like 10 years now, so it will come eventually. Anyway, back on track here. What were we talking about? We were talking about how to find a job in Mexico. Another thing I would do is go to Indeed.com, and I'll put my resume here. I'm sure that there's some jobs that are remote for Mexico. All right, let me see if there are any other questions here. Somebody asked me, Sheldon asked, risk management framework, ISSO material, and is there going to be more course material added to the ISSO foundations and security control courses? Good material for studying my CAP so far. Thanks a lot, Sheldon. Yes, to answer your question, I've got stuff coming. I've got lots more material coming, in particular for, hold on a second, where is my, wow, all right. Anyway, I've got lots more information, lots more course material coming. As a matter of fact, like I just said, we've got ISSO courses that have been added here. If you're interested, what I do is I'll walk you through cybersecurity controls. Let me just give you like a little glimpse of what's in here. We focus on documentation here as it pertains to cybersecurity controls in the NIST, Risk Management Framework. So we walk through 853 control families, and so far we've got these three, but I'm going to add more over time. So that's why it's fairly cheap right now, because I'm still adding to the course. Now, that's not to say that it's short. It's actually long. It's going to get much, much longer. So let me show you how much stuff is in here. It's just, the thing is, when you're talking about controls, there's just a lot of stuff to cover, and that's why AT control is so long here. And then this one, same thing. Just so many things to cover when you're talking about documentation and different aspects of a security control. And then on top of that, I'm talking about overall, what do you do with other parts of the documentation. And as I said, this will be expanded. There's 20 some odd families, and then there's just so much stuff going on. And you got the NIST version 4, the NIST version 5. There's so many topics and so many things to cover that it's best to just cover it in parts, and that's what I'm doing here. So that, I hope that answers your question. The ISSO foundations will be updated accordingly, but it's really a foundational course, so it's not going to have a lot of stuff by itself that is going to be added to. I do have a cap course I'm currently working on. There's lots of stuff. I've already started doing some of the videos for the introduction. I might just release that part completely for free, as well as some other things for free on that one. So just keep your eyes open for that. Okay, I see I've got some people that are watching. I got Novi 2000. How you doing, Novi? I got Melody Poindexter who says, hello, love your channel. I'm looking for a remote job. I don't want to use a clearance or any suggestions. Yes, I have a few suggestions that I will talk to you about in a second. Let me see if I can find some good stuff for you to check out here. Bear with me. Let me see if I can find you some good material while I set up this video. All right, there we go. Okay, so remote jobs for somebody who doesn't have a clearance or anything. Let me show you. First off, let me show you where I put a breakdown of everything that I have. This course right here, completely slept on. My most popular material is risk management framework, ISSO stuff, without a doubt, hands down, besides me installing a ring.com on my house. Which for some reason Google likes to share that one with everyone on planet Earth. But second stuff that people love is my ISSO risk management framework, security stuff. This course right here, though, in my personal opinion, is some of the most useful material that have kept me employed for all these years as I've been out of the military. It's helped me to, this is a culmination of what I have done, what I do to find jobs, to update and go to the next level. It talks about the keywords. It talks about what I do to market myself. So that's why I think that this is a pretty good course that's really slept on, and people don't talk about it much. It doesn't get a lot of buys, but in my opinion, it's one of the best. And I have recently added to it. I'll talk about how I market on each one of these courses, but let's talk about let me give you a bird's eye view of what to do. All right, so Indeed. Let's start off with Indeed.com, which, by the way, I walk you through some of my techniques on Indeed.com, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to show you some stuff right now. All right. So it's very simple. It's to keep it high level, very simple. How do you do it? What do? You just go ahead and let's say you live in Virginia, and it's already showing me a whole bunch of stuff here, keywords. You want it remote, so it doesn't matter if you're in Virginia. What we need to know is what job you want. Cybersecurity is extremely broad, just so you know. So what exactly do you do, if you don't want to ask? Do you mind me asking? Like, are you in forensics? Are you a pen tester? Cybersecurity analyst? I'm just going to put cybersecurity analyst. Let's say you're a cybersecurity analyst. That's also a very broad term. There we go. And then we want to just go ahead and type remote. This is just one of the things that I teach in there. I go way deeper than this, but this is just one of them. So as you can see, a bunch of jobs just popped up. Some in Colorado Springs, in Indeed, all over, but these are all remote positions, right? Another thing that you might want to do is look at what has been posted recently. So I just clicked 7 days here, so now it's just searching for stuff in the last 7 days. So this is this hottest items that you want to. So that's one thing you can do. Now, you are right to ask about clearances, because a lot of times they want you to have a clearance. Like this one right here is asking for a top secret SCI. How many people have that? Not many. With a polygraph. I mean, that's pretty high level. So that would be out for you. You would just go through and see which ones don't have a clearance. There's a secret right there. There's a SCI. Just a lot. Eventually, you're going to stumble across quite a few that don't require a security clearance of any kind. And so those are the ones you want to go check out their site and apply. Yes, looking for SCA work. Okay, check this out. SCA work lends itself to being remote, but that said, I can tell you this from personal experience, a lot of those jobs require you to travel a lot. If you don't mind traveling, you're going to find a job in SCA. So SCA, not a good keyword for this particular search box. Security control assessor. Look at that. See how it just popped up right there? This is a hot one right here. So look at this. This is Virginia, $40 to $47 an hour. They're looking for 3 years experience. I'm not seeing any clearances on this one. Oh wait, nope. I take that back. Secret. But yeah, just keep looking through them. Because the clearance is a hot commodity, especially when you're talking about the East Coast. But some remote jobs, when you have a clearance, a lot of times that you have to go into like a secure area, and so those are not for remote workers usually. If you have to deal with secret and top secret material on a regular basis, you're usually in some kind of a windowless room. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more remote jobs for people who don't have a clearance than that do. So yeah, that's what I would do. Indeed is one tool you can use. You can also use CareerJet and LinkedIn. I would use all of them is what I would do. I have an SCI poly, but I want to do remote, so I do not. So see, the thing is, Melody, I just saw a few jobs with clearances, like with TSSCI. I don't know like what you're doing with an SCI working remotely or anything, but it might be that you travel. A lot of these guys, they travel quite a bit, so they'll require you to have a clearance because you'll go to a site and you'll have to access those SCIFs, those classified compartmentalized areas, and then they'll read you in real quick, and then you'll start doing your scans. Or in the past, I'm just kind of thinking back to my DoD days. What they would do is I would be the ISSO on site or whatever, right? And I'd be sitting there with my system administrator and whatever. We'd be waiting for we'd have coordinated with the SCA people. It's usually it's like it would usually be more than one person, like at least 2 or 3 people. There'd be a policy person that's going to look through our documents and make sure we're doing proper risk management framework steps and stuff. Then there'd be like a dude who scans, who's a subject matter expert on Cisco and on scanning and on ethical hacking and stuff. And he checked the internal network and the external network and things like that. You might have a pen tester there. You might have a person who looks at servers or whatever. You'd have a team of people there, and they would look at different aspects depending on how thorough it was. But I remember working in classified environments, and what we would do is, and I would be the one doing a lot of the coordination. We would make sure, of course, they have a security clearance. That would be the first thing, because we'd have to bring them into our classified areas, into our compartmentalized areas that have no windows and everything, and they'd have to have a clearance in order to even walk in the door, to walk in that restricted area. So that's a lot of times. These guys will be traveling to one site to another. They visit me here in Colorado at some base or something. Then they had just come from Virginia, some SCIF in Virginia, and they come here and stuff. So that's the reason they would want you to have a clearance. It's not like these guys. If you're an assessor, you're not necessarily putting the controls on the boxes. You know what I mean? You're just doing your scan, and you just need to be have the clearance just to make sure that you've gone through all this process. You're not a foreign national with interests in some country that wants to steal secrets from the U.S. or whatever, right? So that's the reason they would want you to have a clearance. So I hope that makes sense. That's what I would do. Hope that answers your question. Let me just keep going here. I had another person asking me questions here. This one is actually a resume. Let me make sure this resume is clear. Okay, good. So this is somebody named RK. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. And she is asking me, she's breaking down her experience and everything. Pretty high level, going for a CISSP. Let me see. And then they asked me about my role was predominantly security work related. I led a 2-year project to ensure applications database controls were compliant with agency standards NIST guidelines. I also routinely assisted the SCAs, right up my alley, patch management, vulnerability remediation, tenable findings, issues, false positives, risk analysis, submitting waivers, telework. Yeah, so this is really good stuff. This is, if they put this on their resume, then it's going to be a pretty solid resume. How? Okay, they're asking, how do I structure my resume? See attached. To say that my skills gaps are not insurmountable, meaning we can get around some of my skill gaps, and how do I manage to bridge my obvious knowledge, skills, abilities gap as it relates to the security control assessor. So you're trying to be a security assessor, right? So that's my interpretation of this. What you're saying, and still command a 6-figure salary. Okay, for instance, during my last role, 2016 to 2020 to now, I closed out all the poems, and I inherited as far as 2000, and I never once worked with EMAS. Okay, the compliance team was a BCM. Okay, all right, so if I'm understanding your question, RK, you're saying that you want to make your resume in such a way that you are making yourself out to be making a resume that satisfies what people want to hear for an SCA. I hope that I'm understanding that correctly. So how do you put that stuff in your resume so that people make yourself more attractive to these people looking for an SCA person? So first off, you're assuming there's a skills gap, but if you've done all the things you said in that email, if you said you've done poems, you've done false positive documents, you've worked with different teams, then you actually have a lot of skill sets that SCAs are looking for, because SCAs aren't just pen testers. SCAs aren't just hardcore OSC black hat hackers who can take out any system, take out banks. You know what I mean? So especially if you're dealing with the government, like if you're dealing with large organizations, not just the government, and you've done risk management framework before, then you're especially something they're looking for, because a lot of people in the cybersecurity world, the reason why they don't talk about it a lot, the reason why whenever you type risk management framework, my site is like one of the first ones to come up, and my face is one of the first ones you see, because nobody talks about it. And not only that, but a lot of cybersecurity people don't want to do this work. They don't want to do this work, even though this path can lead you to pure management, to a C-suite position. Or you can even go deeper into ethical hacking if you want. Or you can even go into cyber risk analysis. You can go into threat analysis. This path that I'm on has led me to all these things. With the exception of C-suite, I've never done that before. But everything else I've done before. And it's all because of risk management. And why? Because I know I have a very good grasp of best practices for security on servers, on clients, and it's because I've been exposed to all aspects of security for many years. So this path, even though it kind of seems like we're being pigeonholed into this one section, and I see in your resume you're talking about patch management risk framework. That's what you've done for 5 years professionally. That's perfect. That's the kind of stuff they're looking for. All right, let's get into this resume right here, so I can get more information. I'm assuming that you were a risk management framework person like myself, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, profile. A lot of people like to put this profile up top. That's fine. The only thing I would say is make sure it's stuffed with keywords and key phrases. That's all I'll say about that. Like this, she's doing a good job here. She's saying security professional with 5 years in cybersecurity, patch management, and risk management. Well acquainted with the requirements of the NIST publication, OMB, Congressional, DHS, whatever handbooks, and yeah, this is going in the right direction. I would just put like a lot more keywords in here. And so what I'll do is let me just trace my edits here. So what I would do is I'd put some keywords in here, like such as RMF. And the reason why you want to mix it up is because if you just put risk management, some people aren't going to type that. And risk management, by the way, goes into insurance claims, and risk management is a very broad term. So you want to make sure as risk management framework, RMF /NIST 800. You want to be very clear with what you're talking. Risk management is not a good keyword or key phrase. Risk management, Okay, here we go. Here's what we're gonna do. NIST 800. So some technical recruiters are going to be looking or going to be typing in what I just typed here, but very rarely are they just going to type in risk management and that's it. Unless they're like a claims adjuster or something. Risk management framework. So what I did was I added risk management framework, RMF, NIST 837. Right? You might even want to type the whole word for the NIST documentation in there, like the NIST SP 800-37 information security framework, whatever they're calling it these days. Anyway, patch management. And then another one I put in here is a good one, is vulnerability management, because that's actually an equally decent key phrase. Okay, vulnerability management and risk management framework. Okay, that's good. I would argue that vulnerability management is a better keyword, more encompassing than patch management, by the way. Well acquainted with NIST publications, and then here's an opportunity for us to use more keywords. Don't be afraid to use the keywords, especially when they are used in a way that fits the context of what you're saying. 837, 853, 800, and on, whichever, all the main ones you want to type in. You don't necessarily want to put obscure ones in there. Probably, what's another really good one? 137, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's what is that one? Continuous monitoring. A lot of people look for that one. OMB, that's okay. Most people aren't typing in OMB. They might type in FISMA though. So if you have FISMA experience, you want to put that. But see, the thing is, if you've done this before, if you've done risk management, you've done FISMA. So FISMA is something they might type in. You said you did EMAS in there, but that's not a publication, is it? Okay, anyway. But anyway, you get the idea. You want to put keywords right on the top, and don't leave any spaces in here. Don't just put general stuff. Use the keywords. And the reason why you want to put keywords right on top is because who are you getting this resume to? you're going to upload it to Indeed.com, right? You're going to upload it to LinkedIn. Well, it's a keyword rich environment. So when you upload it there, the search engine is looking for keywords. So you want to definitely put them in your resume to begin with. A good resume is what's going to bring you a lot of different, a lot of opportunities. Security SME. Now let's dive into the meat of this thing. Let's see if you have any certifications. Look at that, bachelor's degree in science. I would put this right on top. Actually, this is a big deal. I would put this on the top. That's what I would do. And the reason why I would do this is because a lot of these high level, high paying jobs, they're looking for specifically a bachelor's degree at least with a certain amount of years. And it seems like you have it. So you want to put that right on top. And then you probably want to, a lot of times the recruiters are lazy. So they're going to type in, BS, what do you have, a BSIS? BSIS. There you go. Okay, let's get into the meat of this thing. We're just going to address one of these. I won't go through everything unless it's really, really good stuff. It looks like she does have some really good stuff in here, by the way. All right, let's start at the top here. Security SME software engineer. All right, so I would reword, if you can, like, I'm not telling you to lie on your resume. I'm not telling anyone to lie on the resume. But what I am telling you to do is use a good keyword for the same job. And so first off, let me tell you, this already is sounding really good. A software engineer with security experience, that is rare. That's a rare person right there. And that's what a lot of people are looking for. So you should not, you shouldn't have any problems getting a job remotely. As a cybersecurity person who's done NIST and has held the title of a software engineer, yeah, you should be able to land yourself a really good job. All right. So remotely, by the way, remotely. Okay, so let's do this. So now I'm not lying on this resume, but what I would say is a cyber security subject matter expert would be a better one than what you have. Another thing you could add, I'm not saying add all these, I'm just giving you some options here. SME, cybersecurity. Well, I got to see what you've done first. Let me see, because I don't know. I'm trying to, in my head, I'm thinking engineer and analyst, all these different terms that are really good keywords, but I don't really know what you've done. Let's see. You've restructured the protocol for the quarterly operating division. Okay. CIO, Federal Information Security, FISMA. Okay, that's a keyword. Metrics, Medicaid. Okay. So this is what I want to do with this resume. Like, I see what you're doing here. This is good. And this is good stuff. I'm not saying for you to delete this. This is actually good stuff. But I want to reorganize this. What I would do is I would take this. Thing is, you want to be brief. You want to be straight to the point. You don't want to be wordy. You want to put keywords in there and just hit them right in their mouth within 3 sentences. Within 1 sentence, you want to get to their keywords. They're looking for a certain thing. When I say they, I mean employers. I don't know what's going on with this formatting, but it's really upsetting. All right, so let me just make another line here, and we're gonna type in. She said served as a representative for application and database teams at security control assessments. Oh, okay. Here's what I would do. Assisted security control assessments, CA, as a part of the database teams. Yeah, as a part of the database team representative. Well, let's just say part of the database teams. And then we want to put the action. and we got straight to the point. It's not like wordy like you got going here. You sound very smart. You definitely have a bachelor's degree, but we're dealing with people who are different levels of English. All right, you want to get to the point. Not only that, but you're also dealing with people who have to go through 100 resumes a day. You got to get to the point. Just action, keywords in the action. What was the impact? That's it. You don't even have to. The impact is optional, and that's for people who are the deeper readers who are going to be reading your resume. Once the second round of interviewers are going through it, they're going to really read through your resume, right? You don't want to put lies because they're going to challenge you on them. So what I did here is I put the most important thing first. She says she wants to be a SCA, so I put that up right on top. You want to put all the most important key stuff, put it on the top, because 9 times out of 10, interviewer, a technical recruiter is only gonna read through the first couple lines of your resume, and then if you don't have what they need, it's gonna be on to the next resume. I know this because I've done technical recruiting before, so that's what we did. We had a stack of resumes and we had to get through them, and then people who fit the description were close, like they had the degree, they had the certain time frame, they had maybe a little experience. We would spend more time looking at the resume. If they were completely out of the box, like they've never done any security, any IT, they don't have the years, they don't have the mandatory certification, you got to put in another pile and move on to the next one, and that other pile, by the way, is like, I got nobody else to choose from. I guess I'll look at this one more time. So you got to get straight to the point. Put the years in there, put the degree, put the certifications, because those are the things a lot of these high-paying companies are looking for. Okay. Assessment, and I can see I spelled this wrong. Always do spell checks on your stuff, by the way. Assisted security control assessments as a part of the database team was the impact. Securing, let me see, attained a system. Let's say the system as a result. That's what we're trying to put the impact in there. The system attained an authorization to operate. Or you could put something like system passed the security control assessment 3 years running, or whatever the truth is. You want to put in 3 years running for the organization. Whatever. We're just putting action. Let me see if I can action and impact. I'll make this green. So that's what. Oh, that you can't see that, can you? Blue. Let's put it blue. Action, impact, keyword rich. Keywords here is security control assessments and SCA. So a lot of people are gonna assisted security. Let's put assessors. Security control assessors. There we go. And then the next thing is we need some more stuff in here. Okay, so led and completed a 2-year project to ensure the CMS, content management system, applications under the contract compliant with the CMS information acceptable risk safeguards, NIST 853 controls, and worked with various stakeholders in scheduling routine ongoing maintenance for. Okay, there's a couple things in here I would pick apart, I would pick out and highlight them. You got them in this giant sentence where you got a couple things that you've done in here, which is good, but we want to highlight security items, and then we want to get them apart and get straight to the point so they know you've done these things. Okay. You said you did it in cloud. What did you do with cloud? Because that's a good one. NIST 853 version 4 controls. They're on 5, by the way, as of like this week, or last week, I should say. And worked with various stakeholders in scheduling routine, ongoing maintenance for the password update for all related on-prem and cloud. Okay, you kind of run some stuff together. Here's what I would do. I would not run all the stuff together. I would take it as a separate thing, so that it's highlighted and it's right up front. So let's say this. You said that you worked with various stakeholders scheduling the ongoing maintenance for password updates. Okay, so what do password updates do? So because password, the reason why I'm digging deeper on this is that just updating passwords is good, but helping to manage the account management policies is great. You see what I'm doing here? So a password is part of the authentication methods. A password is part of account management. So you helped with the account management. You helped with the identification and authentication for the whole enterprise. You didn't just put passwords in. I mean, yes, that's one of the things you did, but I'm sure you helped with many other things. So we want to start with something like you what did you do here? You said schedule ongoing maintenance. Okay, that's ongoing maintenance, continuous monitoring, which is a key word, by the way. All right, let's see here. What did we do? Undo. Okay. Performed continuous monitoring. Keyword 1. Monitoring of identification and authentication. Help me out here. This might even be this isn't even the best keyword. There's another keyword that I'm not thinking of, but authentication and identification. In fact, let's go to the well here. We need a better keyword than identification, authentication. And there's one I'm missing. There's a keyword that is really hot that I'm missing, and I'm trying to think of it. It is system administrator. Dang it! This phrase that I've seen over and over again. It's been haunting my dreams lately, and I cannot think of the phrase people have been using in our field. And somebody at work used it with me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the thing. All right, so I cannot find it. But it's dealing with identification and authentication. Identification authentication is just username, password. Identification, username, authentication, password. Usually, these days you want to use multi-factor authentication, which means something you know, something you are, or something you have. So that's a password. It could be your fingerprint. It can be a smart card. So any of those things fit the description of MFA. As a side note. Let's go back to the resume here, and let me type in. Let's just keep identification authentication since I'm having an old man problem. I can't remember the actual phrase here. Performed continuous monitoring of identification authentication. Let's just put access. Let's not put access management. Identification authentication for the enterprise. Enterprise. Another keyword, enterprise, meaning the whole network and how it all ties together. That's an enterprise. For the enterprise, and let's kind of look at this here. What else did she say? Oh yeah, here we go. For on-prem and cloud-based services. Now this is really cloud. If you can put cloud is like right now it's a buzzword everybody's using. You want to be specific. You want to pay AWS or whatever you used, as a matter of fact, because any of those are going to light your resume up. So right now, if you know any kind of cloud, man, it's hot right now because so many organizations are using it. It's just one of those things. One of those phases our field is going through where they're obsessed with clouds. Okay. And perform continuous and identification for AWS and clouds. And the impact was kept the network secure for clients. Let me see. You probably want to be more specific than this with this. Like you want to probably say something like for 30 clients, for 30 financial clients. You want to be more specific. And if it was Price Waterhouse, then you probably want to put that in there because that's a nice little buzzword you can put in there. All right, so we've got our. See how I'm putting like the action, what you did, and I'm making sure the action isn't just like one thing, like a password. What do passwords do for the organization? Think of it that way. How important are passwords? Very, right? They're very important. So you want it to be the wording to reflect the importance of what you're doing. The best way to do that is think about the context of what you're saying. She said passwords. What do passwords do? In the context of an organization, they do identification and authentication. Another direction I could have gone would be account management. Helping with account management would be another thing. That's helping the whole organization. If you want to put passwords in there, you could put them in there. You can say updating passwords for critical accounts. For the enterprise, on-prem, and cloud services. So this is how when I'm going through my resume, this is the kind of stuff. You always got to think about the impact to the organization, because when people are reading through your resume, they're wondering how can JK, how can Melody help our organization? Where will she fit in? What things can we use from her? Now, when you go to the resume, you are interviewing them. So you're going to answer all their questions of them reading through your resume or whatever, but you need to interview them. That's a very important piece. You're interviewing them just as much or more than they're interviewing you. So you need to ask those questions: the who, what, when, where, and why. Who are you guys? What do you guys do? Oh, you guys are in the financial sector. What kind of financial stuff do you guys follow Sarbanes-Oxley? Do you guys ask those questions? What do you guys do on a regular basis? Now, as a security person, what will I be doing on a daily basis? Will I be working with a team of how many? How many hours do we work? Shift work? How much travel do we do a year? 10%? Okay, what places do we go to? You need to ask who, what, when, where, and why. Don't be afraid, because you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. It goes both ways. Okay, so I got another question here. Somebody said, Helios Dark says, what should I do if I want to transition into cybersecurity with no experience in the field, only a bachelor's degree in science and working towards a security plus? Cybersecurity is a deeper aspect of IT. So you're not going to find too many cybersecurity jobs that are entry level. And when they say entry level, usually you have to have some kind of IT experience. So it's not, IT is like another deeper layer of IT. Cybersecurity is a deeper layer of IT. And then when you get into cybersecurity, it has many different branches. So you can do entry level, but it's going to have to start at like the help desk. So what you want to do is aim for that. Aim for like an IT job. Help desk, computer support, customer support, taking calls. Honestly, it's not fun to me. This is just my opinion. I didn't like doing help desk, but the awesome thing was I got to learn things every day. Every day I was learning things that are completely new, because human beings have this ability to create new problems all the time. And so you're constantly having to figure out how to fix this new problem that has manifested itself at the help desk. And then you're going to be doing everything from fixing software issues that are having problems, hardware issues, network issues. In that experience, you're going to learn how to troubleshoot. You're going to learn how components work with one another with a hands-on. It's hands-on. So it's not just something you would read in a book. It's going to be like, why is the RAM not working? Why? You got to take the hard drive out and it's corrupt. Like it's hands-on. You're seeing how all this stuff works together. And that experience is invaluable. So what do I do if I want to transition? We want to transition into this field. You're going to have to start from the bottom, which is help desk, support desk, customer service. If you want an idea of what kind of jobs, what kind of stuff you're going to be starting off with, it's this. I'm on Indeed.com, once again, the tool of choice on Convocourses. We have not been sponsored by these people, but if Indeed.com, if you want to contact me, I'll be happy to promote your product. Help desk support. Right. So check this out. Help desk support, remote. You could type whatever state you're in. You just put it right there. But right now we have it as remote. And this is the kind of work you would do. You'd be a tier 1 person. Now, some of these jobs will take a person with little or no experience, and they'll train you on the job. But typically, even these guys require you to have some kind of experience. So then the question you should ask yourself is, how do I even start? How do I even get a job? Where do I begin to put my hands on someone else's assets? That's probably not the right. Someone else's systems. So one of the places you can start is if you still are a student in school, you could start there. You said you are currently, well, where do you work right now? If you don't mind me asking. What do I want to do if I want to transition? What are you transitioning from, or are you just a student? Well, I'll give you a couple scenarios. Let's say you're a student. You're going to University of Boulder, Colorado, and you're studying in a bachelor's degree in science, right? First off, good news is a lot of these jobs here that you're seeing, they require some sort of, not necessarily just an IT degree. They require some kind of technical or engineering degree or science or math degree. They accept STEM degrees, but they normally require some level of experience. Now, you're a student and you're going through this degree program. How do you get started? How do you get your hands on so you can put that stuff on your resume so you can get this entry-level position? Ask the school. Go to the school administrators and say, listen, I want to work on you guys' computers. There's IT guys there. Ask those IT guys. That's the first thing I did. Now, I was in the Air Force, and I was a dumb cop. That's all I did. Was not done. Now, I'm not implying all cops are dumb, by the way. I love cops. I was a cop for 5 years. It's a super hard job. But I was in the lowest class of people in the Air Force, which was a security guard. I was a glorified security guard that I did for a few years, and then I was a police officer, and I did law enforcement, which is definitely requires brains, by the way. But I was doing that, and I didn't like it. It's really hard. It's stressful. Your customers hate you, your guts. It's a thankless, tireless job. It's hard, and you can't. It doesn't. And then they accept a lot of dummies. Like there's a lot of people who can't do any job, and they just kind of cram them into being cops. Thing is, being a cop requires a certain level of maturity and brains. Like you can't just put just anybody in that job, which is why we as a society have all these problems because of that. Anyway, that stuff aside, I was a cop, and I was like, this is hard. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do computers. So I went to the computer guys on base, and I talked to them. I said, hey guys, like, I'm thinking about being going into computers, right? And they said, oh, information technology, yeah, it's a good choice, you know. And I said, well, what is your job like? I asked them basic questions. What is your job like on a day-to-day basis? And they told me. They walked me around the help desk and say, well, this is where we do trouble tickets. What's a trouble ticket? Oh, that's where somebody from on the base, they submit an email, it goes into our system, and then it tells us what's broken, and then we send somebody out to respond to that location. And I said, oh, do you guys do that? You guys go there? Do you guys program things? They're like, no, programmers, that's a whole different career path, right? He started breaking everything down to me. All my very simple questions to him, he took the time to tell me, here's the help desk. Programmers, they are a whole different career. They're not even on this floor or in this building. They do something completely different than we do, you know. And then I started to fill this picture of what it meant to do IT, right? Because computer security is one branch of IT, and then computer security by itself, cybersecurity by itself, is broken into thousands of different categories and subcategories. So when you ask me how do you get into cybersecurity, start from the bottom, which is information technology. If you're a student, ask the school. If you said, I work in biotech sector for CRO, cool. Now this is awesome. So what you do is go to your company's HR department, go to the IT guys, start with the IT guys, and just ask them, sit down or call them up and say, hey, I'm thinking about going into information technology. You know, how do I start? What's your job like? Would you recommend it? You know, coming from this biotechnology, how do I get from here to there? They'll ask. Some people will be happy to answer your questions, because some people are intrigued that you even want to go from your career path to theirs, you know. So they'll sit down. You will find a geek who will sit down and answer all your questions. Next step, because after you talk to them, you might not even want to do it no more. But after you talk to them, the next step is go to HR department and then start to honestly ask them, hey, I'm thinking about transferring from this current position to this other position over here. Do we have positions, first off, in IT, entry level positions? Is there a way that I can go from this job to this job? For all you know, they have a specialized program just for CRO that wants to retain all their employees. I'm telling you, you got to start with asking. Ask the IT guys first what their life is like, the who, what, when, where, and why. How did you start? Who's your manager? Like, how does your manager work with you? Ask them all those kinds of questions to see what their life is like. Do you do shift work? How often when do you guys come in the morning? Those kinds of, you might not even want to do it no more, right? After you talk to them. Right. So then after that, you can talk to HR. Do you guys have a program to transfer me from here to there? I want to get into information technology. Are there any? They'll give you like a careers list maybe, or sometimes they'll have some kind of program where they're retaining employees and stuff like that. So that's what I would do in your situation. And this is coming from somebody who's done that very thing. Like, I went from one career path completely to another, and that's what I did, and it worked. So that's what you do in the chemistry. And then here's the thing, like, if you're in chemistry, there's all kinds of stuff that would be awesome for a chemist to be helping with as far as IT. In particular, like off the top of my head, databases, I bet you probably could find something doing databases using your skills in chemistry. And then another one would be software engineering. I bet you there's a bunch of software engineers who are looking for a chemist that they can train because they have some kind of app that they're building or something. Like, there's all kinds of opportunity. This field is growing so rapidly. and it's changing the way humanity behaves, and it's terrifying, and it's exciting at the same time. But yes, the answer is yes, you can do it. Start asking around for it. I hope that answered your question. Okay, let me go to the next thing here. Navi says, what are some tips to build up branding for security consulting? Should I build a brand in my name or a company name? I'm thinking things like a website, LinkedIn, and conferences. Okay, I can really help with this one, because this one right here is something I've been doing for years. Surprised more people don't ask me that question. What you're looking at here, Navi, is my site. One of my sites. This site basically promotes it promotes other people's jobs. It promotes some of my courses that are free. Some are paid and stuff like that. And I've been doing this for a really long time. Not this particular site. I used to have another site. And all I did was I gave out free information. And I got the concept of kind of like a thank you economy is what we live in right now. So basically, essentially what you do is you give out free stuff. You give out free information. You give things to people, right? You help people with their problems. Someone has a problem, you help them. And what happens is there's this, I don't want to call it karma, but when you give people things, people tend to come to you, right? So to lay out the structure, I started off with a simple website on WordPress that didn't look nothing like this, but it was a WordPress. This right here, what you're looking at, is a WordPress site. And all I did was put out information. And what happened was somebody found me on Google. This was back when blogs like meant something. And then they offered me to write a book for them, and I did. I wrote like a manual on how to do risk management framework. And then they said, hey, do you want to teach this stuff? I said, sure. So I taught the stuff I wrote, and they paid me for all this stuff. And to answer your question, I started off giving out information. And then when people ask me questions, I answer those questions to the best of my ability. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to be a BS artist and try to, fancy word my way to a solution for them. I just say, I don't know. That's not my wheelhouse. That's not what I do. But, here's what I do, and I'll tell them what I do. But yeah, I had to start off with a website and then went to social media, start putting stuff on social media. And eventually what things are now is videos like this. So the best thing I would do if I were you, I would start a website. You can either put your resume out there as a consultant and break down everything you do, or just do a blog where you talk about different issues in IT. Make sure it's very focused. I don't talk about like trips I did. I do that on a whole separate platform. I do that on a whole separate thing. Keep it focused on professional stuff you do. So that's what I do on this site right here. That's what you do. And so with this site, with what you're watching right now, this video, with Convocourses, I've been getting people contact me a lot about either mentoring or consulting on different stuff that they have. They have like a small company and they want me to do something for them. I get those and stuff. And so I hope that answers your question. You got to give things to receive things. And as far as whether it's your name or not, that's really up to you. It depends on how far you want to go. If it's your personal name, then it's just you on consulting jobs. But one thing to keep in mind is that if you're doing a lot of consulting, if you're making a lot of money on it, you got to deal with taxes and legal issues. So you probably want to talk to like a tax advisor and ask them. I can tell you that my tax advisor and business people that I've talked to, legal people, I talked to, they told me to do like a business name or an LLC, really, because an LLC allows you to not be sued. Like if you get sued, they're only suing your LLC. Not to say that happens often. It's just that you're forward thinking. You're thinking 10 years ahead. You're thinking, okay, well, what if this is all I do? All I'm doing is I'm doing consulting work, and I'm making $100,000 a year doing consulting, and I did consulting, and somebody's network gets hacked, and then they come after me. How do I protect myself legally? An LLC would do that. Now, I would definitely talk to a professional, talk to a tax professional, talk to a legal representative, a lawyer, something like that, to get more advice on starting an LLC. I'm just some guy on the internet. Keep that in mind. So don't take my advice. Ask professionals who know how to do this and stuff. And always, like, if you have a goal in mind, if you have a 10-year goal, you're going to be thinking, okay, if it's just my name, then that's fine. That's actually fine. You can actually do a business in your name, as a matter of fact. If you want your name out there, then that's what you do. If you want to, say, have a separate business, like a side business, you probably want to name it something different than your actual name if you're still working for some company that has you do. If you're working for Price Waterhouse or IBM or something, and you're doing computers consulting for them, the first thing they're going to do is type in your name in Google. And if you want to keep your business separate from what you do at your work, then you probably want to have a different name for your work, so that they're not tied together. And then another thing to keep in mind, I give you an example of something that happened when I first started out. When I first started, my first site got really popular, to the point where people knew who I was and stuff. Like, people knew my name. And so one time I did this article about this. I went to this ethical hacking course, and it was really good. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna name the people because I don't want any kind of legal action. And it'll make more sense once I explain what happened. So I had this site, right, and it got pretty big. It's the same one that allowed me to get paid to write in that book and travel and stuff like that. And anyway, I did this article about this certification program I did, where it's talking about ethical hacking. And I talked about the course. I didn't say anything bad about the course. I said the course was awesome. I had a lot of fun, and you should take the certification. This is back when the CEH first started. CEH is a Certified Ethical Hacker. Well, there was a competing certification, which I will not name, but that competing certification was good. I liked it. It was cool. It was fun and everything. It was practical and everything. And I talked about it on my blog. So how can I say this without getting in trouble? I'm not going to mention any names or companies. The person who owns this was a very successful person. Like, this certification and all the training he was doing so well that he actually is still, to this day, he's doing good. And so he had a name for himself, and his name was the CEO of this company. So his ex-wife contacted me on the blog. This is where the story gets crazy, all right? This dude's ex-wife contacted me from my blog and told me that this dude was a deadbeat dad, and said that he tried to kill her, and said all kinds of stuff. Like, she sent me an email that was like a book and was explaining how terrible this guy is, right? And I shouldn't be promoting his product, and everybody should know what a terrible person he was, right? And I wasn't reading my comments every day. Her comment, she emailed me and she put it in my comments. Her comment appeared at the end of this article I wrote. Now, like I said, the article didn't have none of this stuff. All it was very technical. It just talked about, here, if you want to find it, it's not out there no more. I deleted it, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. So the article only talked about the course, and it was cool, and I did this and I did that, and that was it. And I named the person's company, and basically giving them free promotion because I thought it was a cool product, service. His wife puts this thing about all this stuff. Well, this article that I wrote was so popular that it would go to the top of Google. As soon as somebody typed in this dude's name, then my article would go to the top of Google, and her comments would be there with this guy's name in it. This dude, his lawyer contacts me and starts to proceed to threaten me, right? About take this thing down, or I'm going to sue you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and you're responsible for everything in this article, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't respond well to threats. All the dude had to do was talk to me. So I said, hey, man, listen, all this legal talk is not necessary. All you got to do is ask me to take it down, and I'll take it down. Right? That's it. Like, I don't respond well to threats. I'll get a lawyer if you want me to, but it is not necessary to threaten people. So he gets back to me, and he's like, hey, look, sorry, man. I've been going through this stuff with my ex-wife, and all that stuff she says is not true. Could you please take that down? Could you just delete her comment? Delete her comments, right? And so I went through, and I deleted her comment, and she was, all this time, she's messaging me, saying all this stuff, and they're going back and forth with me. I deleted her comment. His stuff keeps popping up, and then she keeps putting stuff in there about this guy. So eventually I just deleted the whole thing, right? Actually, what I did was I replaced my article with a picture of Johnny Cash giving them the finger, because I don't want to deal with it. It's none of my business. I hope all is well with them. I don't know what's going on. Both of them are telling me two different stories. I don't know. I'm just an IT guy. That's it. You know what I mean? So the moral of this story is that if the guy had sued me and I had put all that stuff under a corporation, he would have had a harder time at suing me and taking some of my hard-earned personal money. He could only attack the company, right? I would be liable. There'd be a limited liability for what the company does on me personally, right? So the more I'm out there, the more I do things like this, and the more people watch me, the more popular you get and stuff, the more insane situations that you get in contact with, the more people get upset with things you say that you might think that what you just said is fine, but they are upset about what you just said. Keep in mind that article was only technical. It was just technical. So my advice would be put it all in a different name. But you put your name out there, but get some kind of legalese, get some kind of corporate entity that protects you, especially if you're trying to get big, and make a blog and promote that product and service with videos, put out free stuff. You can do it. One of the people who first inspired me, who has great information on this, is this dude named Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. If you've never heard of him, guy changed my life. Gary V was the reason why I did the first blog. It works. The stuff he says works. And I read this book he wrote called Crushing It, and that's what inspired me to actually go out and start doing those blogs and putting out that information. He has another book that's really good. It's called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. Also a great book. He's talking about exactly what I'm telling you to do. All right, next question here. Interesting that blogs are not what they were. It's about platforms like LinkedIn and YouTube. Exactly, but see this blog right here? The beauty of this blog is it allows me to link everything together. This blog links jobs I get that come directly into my inbox. It links all my products right here and services. And it also has stuff from my YouTube page. So it kind of brings everything together. I don't see this as like one thing. This right here is tied to everything else I do. So that's the beauty of a blog now. It's not like popular like it used to be popular like YouTube, but now, not so much anymore. But it's still got a great useful function, and it also is great at collecting emails from people who want to get in contact with you, or they want to follow you, or they want a newsletter from you. There's just many things you can do with a blog, so keep that as a part of your portfolio. Let me see here. Shirley says, I have a question about interviews. Does every company interview 3 times? No. So I've been at companies that interview once, twice, up to 5 times. The most I've been interviewed is 5 times. Most of them, I would say, not most, but many of them is at least twice, usually 3. So speaking on the one that I got interviewed once, let me see. The ones I'm interviewed once are usually they're usually shorter jobs. They're usually like a person will contact me on email and say, hey, I got this position for you. Do you want to do it? And it's usually a very small organization or a person who has this job that they want you to do, and they're like a one-man shop. If it's like, because they don't have time to do interviews, that stuff takes a lot of time. So they just want to get to the point, and they saw your resume, they saw your stuff on YouTube or internet or whatever. They saw it, and now they just want to talk to you real quick to see if you want to do it, and if you're a good fit. And it's a very quick thing. It's like email, phone call, maybe a video session. Boom, you're hired. That's one interview. If it's 2 interviews, it's usually a larger sized entity, usually a larger sized organization, but not huge. It's usually like a screener. So the company's large enough to hire a screener. The screener is just going through a list of people and calling. And then they find you do your interview, and they're like, okay, well, I like the interview. I'm going to send you to the manager. Or sometimes the manager is the first person. It just depends. But usually it's a manager and a technical person, right? And then that let's say the technical person, they like you. They say, okay, look, I like this interview. I'm going to schedule you with the manager, and then that's it. You go to the manager, and then they say yay or nay, right? So usually a medium-sized company. 3 interviews is usually a larger company, and usually it's a screener. Like this person screens out people. But they're not usually super technical. They're just going by keywords, right? And that's why it's very important to have keywords in your resume. They're just going off keywords. They don't even know what the keywords mean, and they're looking. And sometimes it's a lot of people from India, sometimes from other countries. There's been sometimes when it's from the company, and then they have the HR person doing the screening, and they don't know your job. All they know is keywords, and they want to know, okay, have you done this for 3 years? Okay, yes, IT. Do you have a CISSP? Okay, he has a CISSP. Do you have a security clearance? Okay, you fit the qualifications. I like your resume. I'm going to send it to this company, to my client, or to the technical guy. He's going to call you at whatever time you want. You schedule the meeting, boom. They call you at that time. Don't be late. Make sure everything works properly. They call you, and then you're talking to either the manager or the technical person, right? And again, it's a manager that's going to evaluate whether you can do the job, like whether you are available. That's really their questions, because they're not usually super technical. They want to know, will you take this salary? Can you move to Virginia? Can you work remotely? It's like a whole bunch of, are you capable of, are you willing to do these things? And then when you get to the technical person, this person's going to know, can you actually do the job? Do you have the skill set to do this job? They're not going to care if you're CISSP or if you're, and they don't care about any of that. They just want to know, can you do it? Then this is the person that is going to ask you to type in command lines, or they're going to ask you very technical port questions, or they're going to give you scenarios and things like that. They're going to ask you very specific questions to that job. So yeah, it depends on the size of the organizations, how many interviews you get, and then it depends on the resources, and it depends on sometimes it depends on how how important the job is. That's another big one. If it's the more important the position is, the more interviews you're going to have. And those are the ones that I have 5, because it's so important that they'll have a board that will sit there and ask you a bunch of questions. A board of 3 or 4 people just boom, 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 asking you all these questions. And those positions are like architect jobs, like where you're looking at the technical aspects of the entire organization, or director jobs, or high-level manager jobs, or those will be like crazy amount of interviews. So I hope that answers your question. And you said, for entry level, do I have to have a clearance before applying for a job or company, or will they give you? It depends. It really depends on the job. If they'll, but normally they'll tell you. So let's go to Indeed, trusty, handy dandy Indeed, and let's type in entry level position, help desk entry level. Look at that. There's the keyword right there. Find jobs, and they'll usually tell you if you need to have a clearance. And the wording that they'll use is they'll say flat out, you must have a clearance. Or if they say must be eligible for a clearance, that means that you don't have to have one, but if they have to give you one, you have to be either a U.S. citizen or a naturalized citizen. And that's really what they're talking about, because then what they're going to do is they're going to get you a clearance. So the answer to your question is you don't always have to, but they'll tell you when you're applying for a job, it'll be in here. Whether it's, and it doesn't matter if it's entry level or not. They'll tell you if you need to be eligible, meaning they'll get you one. They need to be able to obtain you one, and they'll pay for all the investigations or you must have it. They'll tell you right in here whether you must have it or not. So I hope that answers your question. I'm trying to look for one to give you an example. Let me see if I can find one entry. Let's do this. Clearance eligible. Let's see here. I just saw one actually. Yeah, there you go. Right here. This is the language they use right here. Let me see if I just saw it. Qualifications: eligible for a public trust clearance. Public trust, by the way, I don't think that you have to be a citizen to have a public trust. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think you can be a green card holder with this one. But if they require it, they'll flat out tell you must have a security clearance, and it'll look like. Let me see if I can find a must. A lot of remote positions these days, right? I wonder why. All right. Let me see if I can find a must have a security clearance, just to show you what it looks like. I see these all day long. And every time I'm looking for it, now that I'm looking for it, I can't find it, right? Secret clearance. Just saw one. Clearance. There we go. Show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, there we go. Nope, this one's also able to obtain. Clearance must be able to obtain secret. That means able to obtain, or eligible means we can get one for you, but you have to be eligible to get it. You got to be able to get it. And there's a couple things that will make it so that you can't get one. That's a criminal past, certain criminal things that you've done that you can do that will you won't be able to ever get a clearance. And you won't be able to get certain kinds of clearances, I should say. So certain criminal things, if you're not a citizen of the United States, there's certain clearances you cannot get. So that's what they mean by eligible. You must be eligible or are able to obtain a clearance. See that? There's another one. Able to obtain a clearance. Able to obtain. See that? Boom. Hope that answers the question. Okay. Let me see. More people talking here. Navi says, well said. Separation is important. I'm shooting out the Audible now. I'm shooting out to Audible now to get a Gary V book. I have followed him for some time. Makes sense to have the website to obtain company presence. Yeah, Gary V, like, the dude is I don't think people give him enough credit. I think he's a genius. I think he's a marketing genius. Everything I've done from him has worked. Kind of off topic, but I'll keep it on topic by talking about Convocourses. Convocourses wasn't my first iteration of put myself out there. It wasn't the first time that I tried, but every time I use Gary V's techniques, it has worked. You know, and like I said, I started off with a blog, and then you got to evolve with what's going on right now. What's super hot is podcasts. Podcasts are super hot. I don't really listen to podcasts, so I don't get it right now. But that's the thing. You might not get it, but somebody else, that's all they listen to is podcasts. You know, like, think about older folks don't normally go on YouTube, but our generation, like younger, you know, not my generation, really, Gen Z and and millennials, you guys are always on YouTube, you know. So yeah, other people are just going to go to Google and type in jobs. So you got to put yourself everywhere. You got to put yourself on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and then you can even advertise yourself on all the platforms, all the job platforms, dice.com and LinkedIn and Indeed and all those. You can also promote yourself there. There's so many things you got to do, but Gary V promotes putting yourself everywhere, you know, and then just pumping out a ton of content. So yeah, he's incredible. If you're going down this path, then I would highly recommend listening to that guy, because wow, smart dude. Danny G says, I'm doing your IT resume course right now. Great stuff. Hopefully the resume will stand out. I have over 1 year of SOC experience. Wow, that's incredible. And Danny G, if you haven't done so already, send me your resume and I will thoroughly comb through it and help you out with that. Because I'm in the business of helping people to attain whatever they're trying to get to in their career. So that's what I'm here for. Navi says, excellent guidance. Thanks. I have some time to work on preparing things. We'll definitely go to the LLC. This would possibly be a solo business that would supplement retirement income. Smart man. All right, guys, that's it for this one. It's been a pleasure to talk with you guys. Thank you for all your great questions. And if you have any questions, you should know that I actually have a Discord channel. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick so I can give you guys access to that. You can ask me questions there anytime, and we'll go through. And there's a few people who have already signed up, and we already have a thing going where we're putting jobs out there. There's an Ask Bruce section, like if you want to ask me some questions. I've done videos on it and stuff. And at some point, I'll even do lives on here and everything. So just go ahead and sign up. Let me see if I can give you guys access before I take off. And we can grow this community even bigger. Let me see. Let me see if I can sign into chat here. Nope. Give me a second, guys. Bear with me. I am going to give you guys this link. But I'm on Discord. It's under Convocourses, if you could search it out. I'm going to put this in. Into the chat session. I'm having to log into this thing. All right, there we go. If you guys want to join me, and just remember, like, when you get there, you can ask me questions at any time. I have a full-time job. I do consulting and stuff, so I can't always immediately get to your questions, but I will do my very best to answer it. And then there's also some other experts on there. So there's a guy who just passed the CISSP. There's dudes who are working for other large organizations there who are answering questions too. So just go ahead and join up on that. I will invite you there. That's the link. If you're interested in that, hope to see you guys there. Or if another thing is, if there's things that you want me to cover, if there's things that you want me to talk about more, or go through this or that resume, or go through this or that, or add another course there, this is the place to ask me. And it's a server, so it's up all the time. And it's not just on the weekends when we actually have the ability to talk. We can actually talk throughout the week here and there. So that's it, guys. That is my day.